What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. As always, my name is Mark, and welcome to r/Am I the Butthole. If you'd like to skip the initial waffle, timestamps are always in the description and along the timeline below. But if you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too, as it all massively helps out our channel, and it truly does. And with that being said, let's crack on straight away with today's stories. Much love, guys. Now, our first story comes from Unlucky Pizza 7049. Am I the arsehole if I stop taking my neighbour's daughter to school? Writing on a phone, so I'm sorry if the layout sucks. Mine and my neighbour's daughter both go to the same school. They've known each other and have been friends for 8 years and have been especially close the last 2 years. My neighbour's partner will take the girls to school one week, I will take them the other week. I provide both with snacks before drop off for morning club. If a last minute sitter is needed, I always volunteer. The girls play together nearly daily after school and weekends and are always on the phone with each other. It's the daughter's birthday tomorrow and my week to do the school run, so of course I brought her a present and a card from us. But I've just found out from a mutual friend that they are having a birthday party for her tonight. Not only is my daughter not invited, but the mutual friend was told not to tell me there would be a party happening at all. The lack of invite, as much as it will probably upset my daughter, is not the issue. The fact that they have gone out their way to plan a party and hide the fact from me has me really annoyed. I'm so annoyed that I've decided I'm no longer going to wait in for their deliveries, be the last minute sitter, or any of the stuff that is out of my way. But the school runs happen either way. My daughter will still need to go in, still be going in the same days and times as their daughter. It's just that I would refuse to take their daughter and we would do school runs separately. Is that just petty though? Would I be the arsehole if I did this? Edit. I haven't spoken to her or made any decisions yet as I'm still annoyed, other than not waiting in for 6 hours for her delivery today. I will be messaging her tomorrow to ask, not blowing up or screaming or anything, I'm just waiting for the chance to talk face to face. I'm upset by the lack of invite as mutual friend's son is invited, but that's not the real issue for me. It's the fact that she hid from me instead of giving me the chance to tell my daughter we're busy or making plans so we're not in the house when it happens as my house faces hers. And we do have an update after the comments on this one, but I am really curious I'm trying to think of reasons why she might be doing this to sort of give benefit of the doubt, and it's really difficult because I can't think of one. And what's really intriguing is, you said they've known each other for 8 years and they've been playing with each other every day after school and all this kind of thing. So it does sound like the daughters still like each other and all this kind of thing. So is it the mum that has some sort of issue with the other parent? I don't know. I can't think of a reason why. But I would say you are not the arsehole in this situation. But at the same time, I would say just to confront it. You're both adults. And I would say what you found out about this and you've heard that you're not to find out what's the reason why. And then you can truly choose to be done with them or not. I mean, you can choose that anyway, but it would just cement it, And I think that's what I would be doing in that situation for me. But we'll read some comments from A Note of Cocktail saying, you would not be the arsehole, not gonna lie, I would stop doing everything. That's a pretty shitty thing to do. I would legit call them out. The lack of an invite is hurtful, but the cover up is pretty disgusting. And if they're a neighbour, how do they plan on keeping this a secret? How old is your daughter? What does she think about you stopping the school runs? And OP replies to this saying there is no way it could be kept a secret once it started, as they live opposite our house, so it can be seen from the window. She's 10 and I haven't discussed it with her yet as I only found out about it last night. And Grease Soil says, okay, you're an adult, tell them you found out about the party. Do not tell them how, and just ask why your daughter was not invited. They may have a legitimate excuse. Only vampires could attend. And Agent Toratonian says, info needed. Whose idea was it to not invite your daughter? Their daughter or the parents? If it's the parents, I wouldn't ruin your daughter's friendship with the other girl over this. Deal with the adults. And OP says, no idea, as we didn't find out about the party from the daughter or the neighbour. A mutual friend slipped up and mentioned it to me yesterday. The party is tonight. And we'll have one more before we move on to the update with Pudge the Fish saying, not the arsehole. I would honestly be done with them also. Sounds like they're using your giving heart to take advantage. I'd probably not confront them because if your daughter wants to still see theirs, it would make things difficult. But I would also not have my daughter over their house for playtime, mostly because I kinda hate them now and would not want my daughter around them. If the other girl wants to come and play, I would allow it, but only if it were convenient for you and your daughter wanted her over. Try to help your daughter branch out and make some other friends that can come over and play. I would text something like, "Hi, I want to spend some extra time with my daughter on the way to and from school, so we're going to dip out of carpooling. I have found out I really enjoy the one-on-one time we get in the car, and she can talk all about her day." Leave it at that, then if they confront you, you can let them know how crappy what they did was. So the update says, I decided I couldn't sit on it, so I talked to her. I asked her why my daughter wasn't invited. Had we done something to either of them? She said that she hadn't done the invites yet. I asked when the party was, which she told me it's tomorrow. I thought tonight, so I was wrong there. I called her out on it, and she said she was a liar and she would never wait less than 24 hours before the party to invite people. She then said, of course she can come without an invite though. She demanded to know who told me, as it's a surprise party. I didn't tell her, it was a mutual friend. She then said that she was going to do the separate thing for my daughter to be invited to. I called her a liar again and said that she wasn't, she was just excluding my daughter. She blew up and said she couldn't believe I was acting this way. How dare I be upset about it, and she couldn't believe she was going to lose a friend over a party. I told her she wasn't losing a friend, as she clearly didn't see me as one, just someone whose kindness they could abuse, that I had no interest in a last minute pity invite just because I caught her out. I then told her to not ask me for any favours in the future, that I didn't want the girl's friendship affected, but it's time to rethink the school run arrangements. So basically, it was the mum. I saw us as friends, she didn't, and then openly lied to my face about it, and tried to make it so I was the bad person. Only plus side to the whole thing is that daughter knew nothing about it, and that with it being tomorrow I managed to make alternative plans so we're not home and she doesn't have to see it. Then can make sure she knows it wasn't neighbour's daughter that excluded her. Yeah, it all sucks. And it was kind of my suspicions there that, it was going to be one of the parents that did this, and because the children were playing together after school every day, and I don't think they would do that if they really didn't like each other. That was just one of the things that was going through my head anyway. But we'll move on to the next story. And our next story comes from TA Please Give Up. Am I the arsehole for saying that it's my sister's fault her husband is divorcing her? My 27 female sister, 32 female, is currently in the process of divorce, started by her husband, 40 male. They were married for a total of 2 years. The problem started with brother-in-law wanting his own biological kids. I'll explain later, and my sister not wanting them. She was always against having kids, but the moment they started seeing each other, she started making certain changes about herself. He had the courtesy of telling quite early where he wanted the relationship to go, and my sister at that point went from no to maybe to one day and then yes. They got married, but maybe the realization finally hit her when we went to meet our cousin who had given birth. Yes, a new mother's body is not exactly the epitome of sexy, because pregnancy does things to a mother's body. I can tell sister was detracting, and it was still early in the marriage when I asked her to reconsider and end the marriage now before it's too late. She was adamant that she wanted a child, but I could tell she was flaky. She never talked to me, but she would talk to our mother, and I would hear from her how brother-in-law was still going on about wanting a child, but she is not feeling like wanting a child anymore. Oh boy. A month ago, brother-in-law reached his limit and finally asked sister to be upfront, and she straight up told him she does not want to be a mother and started offering alternatives like adoption. Brother-in-law did not want to hear any of that, and sister came to live with us. As to why brother-in-law wants biological children, he was previously married and has 2 children, and he found out that neither of them are biologically his. He pays child support but does not see the kids anymore. Understandable. Sister also knew this, but maybe love blinds people. She is here bawling her eyes out because brother-in-law has started the divorce proceedings and does not want any sort of compromise. Parents have been giving brother-in-law shit for days now, and so is sister now about how stubborn he is and wish he could see it before. It got annoying to the point where I told her that it was her fault that she was not ready, lied to him and now expected him to accommodate, fully knowing his side and that her foolishness impacted the life of 2 people. Now they are angry at me for taking his side. Am I the arsehole? If so, what can I do to make it right? I'm not going to retract my words because they're exactly what she did. And we'll start with NTB 1005 saying, not the arsehole, she lied to her husband by pulling a bait and switch on him. That's really shady. She's getting what she deserves for doing that and she just can't accept it. All you did was tell her the truth. These aren't the types of things you can just change your mind on when you marry someone, at least without consequence. She needs to commit one way or another, because waffling on something as high gravity as this will doom her relationships to failure now and in the future. Props to you, OP, for giving your sister a hard dose of reality. And Panicalade says everyone sucks here except brother-in-law. This is a deal breaker for him and he's making the right choice. Compromise either way would only breed resentment and ruin what's left of their marriage. It's better and more responsible to cut it off now so they can find people who are fundamentally more compatible. Your sister definitely should have been more honest. This is a situation of her own making because she tried out of love to want something she does not want. However, you didn't need to say that. You didn't need to rub salt into her wounds, and you've done her no favours for it. Your parents need to stop blaming brother-in-law. He doesn't have to forego biological children just because she doesn't want them. He's not wrong for making this choice. He'd only be wrong if he tried to force her into pregnancy and she'd outright say no. He didn't. She made herself clear, so he left. That's unfortunate, but that's all it is. Real true support does not come from blasting the other person for things they want for themselves. Less focus on him, more on her. And you, learn to read the room. Tact is a valuable resource, and given that this is a sensitive subject, you should take the hint from that and be sensitive. There is nothing at all to be accomplished from telling her truths like that. You should apologise, not because you stated something untrue, but because you were, unwittingly or otherwise, cruel to a family member who is already suffering. And redoing says not the arsehole. Your brother-in-law is living every man's worst fear, and to top it off, his new love interest lied to him about wanting kids just so he would marry her. I have no idea how this guy will ever trust women again. And one more from the ginger cynic saying, you're the arsehole, if not, everyone sucks here. Whether someone wants a child or not is a very personal matter. There's an excellent chance she did change her mind. People do it all the time. Is it bad that brother-in-law has been hurt by this? Yes, it's bloody awful. Does that mean she intentionally lied? Well, not necessarily. A lot of people will make exceptions to their feelings and wants for the sake of their partner, or believe they want the same. From what you've written, it sounds like seeing your cousin was what made her realise she didn't want to have kids, and she came clean when she was asked by her husband. It sounds like you kicked her while she was down, whether intentional or not. It's a deal breaker for brother-in-law. As much as I'm sure he's hurting, he was clear about that. They're both going to be hurting for a while over this divorce. Telling her it's her fault they're getting divorced is just going to make her feel worse, and it doesn't benefit anyone. And now, what do you guys make of this one? Let me know in the comments below, and we'll move on to the next story. And our next story comes from Cock Without Cock. Am I the arsehole for cursing out my neighbour in front of her kids? I'm a 21-year-old female. Mickey's a 12-year-old Akita that I've had for all of 12 years. For some context, I live in a residential neighbourhood that was recently gated off. I walk Mickey every day. By the time I turned 9, he was too big for me to take on walks, so I trained him to walk in front of me on our walks. He only walked about 10 feet in front. Mickey has never been away from me for more than 24 hours. A bit ago, a family moved in a few houses down. There's the mum, M, dad, D, and twin children. D watched me walk Mickey and thought he was a stray. I explained how our walks usually go and thought that was that. It was not. 4 days ago I came home and Mickey was not in my yard. I freaked out because he was always there. I went through our neighbourhood, posted in every missing pet Facebook group I could find, and posted on our neighbourhood group chat saying he was missing. Fast forward to yesterday. By now I'm going out of my mind. I finally decided to go door to door and after a few houses. I'm at NN's place. M opens the door as D is coming in from the kitchen. I explain to M that Mickey is missing and she offers sympathy. As I'm getting ready to leave, D joins the conversation. He immediately says, "Baby, tell her about the dog you found." M goes on to tell me how she found a dog wandering around in my yard, opened the gate and took him out. At this point, I'm not even registering the fact that she removed my dog from my property. I'm just excited because I think she might have him somewhere. Before I can ask, she explains how she gave him to one of her friends because she thought he was a stray. I explained that it was my dog, and she, somewhat reluctantly, gave me a name and address. I go over there and I'm met with a mother and 2 kids. I tell this mother, TM, that the dog she got is my dog and show her pictures of him. She doesn't argue or anything, and I load into my car and drive home. This morning, I get a message. It's a screenshot of a mum group on Facebook. M and TM are going back and forth saying things like, how would she think taking a dog from a kid is okay? And my personal favourite, she's had enough time with him, she should let others have a turn. They manipulated the story so it looked like I took their dog, and there were other mums criticising. Pissed off, I went over to M and D's house and shouted at her. I'll admit that I did say a few curse words, but it was generally just me saying things like, "You're acting as if he's a toy people can take turns with, and he was on my property." I've been called an arsehole by M, again on Facebook, for cussing me out in front of my kids and causing emotional distress she's not fit to deal with. I kind of feel like an arsehole because I could have just let it pass without saying anything, and I might have actually let a few curse words slip in the vicinity of children, although I'm 95% sure that school-age kids are in face-to-face school in my area. Am I the arsehole? Now, I'm going to answer this one for the initial question, am I the arsehole for cursing out my neighbour in front of their kids? Because we could go down the whole route of the dog being off the leash and all that kind of stuff. But I'm going to go with the initial question, and there's no way you could be the arsehole in this situation just for that. If someone walked into my garden, took Poppy out, I would be absolutely pissed off, believe me, and they'd be getting more than a few curse words, let me tell ya. But Crayola in my brain says I would make a police report in case someone tries to take the dog again. Also get a camera, not the arsehole times 1000. And the rest for the wicked says, how could you ever be an arsehole here? She committed theft. File a police report and say you'd like to press charges. The Facebook convo should be more than adequate for evidence, not the arsehole. And Lizzie says M sounds insane. Who takes a dog from someone else's yard and gives it away? What the fuck? And acting like they're owed a turn. That's super weird. And Placer says, everyone sucks here. You're walking an Akita off leash. I had Akitas and loved the big cuddly bears, but there's no way on earth I would ever allow one off leash in a populated area. They're hyper protective and have very dominant personality. Plus the smallest are around 60 pounds or 25 kilos, while the largest are 120 pounds or 55 kilos. You are damn lucky that your dog hasn't bitten another dog, or worse, a person. I've only allowed our Akitas off leash in a remote area or in a closed dog park. At the dog park, I had to watch very carefully to stop any kind of fight before it started. Of course, the other family are assholes as well, but you're not a responsible Akita owner. And Black Star Blue says, everyone sucks here, but your neighbour is worse. Get your dog a collar and a tag with your details on it. Have the dog microchipped. You're not 9 anymore, walk the dog on a leash now. File a police report, put a lock on your gate. And now I turn this one to you guys. What do you guys think of this one? And we move on to the next story. And our next story comes from Birthday Rat Throwaway. Am I the arsehole for being mad after my brother was depressed on my birthday and made everything about him? I'm really hurt about what happened, but my sister says I'm being selfish and she's usually on my side about things, so I want to make sure I'm in the right about being upset about this. Yesterday was my 16th female birthday. I was excited about this one because I feel like it's one more step towards being an adult. But the whole day was ruined because my younger brother, 12 male, found out that one of his rats had died. My brother has like 5 rats and he has this specific one for like 4 years. I don't know why, but he absolutely loves those things. I understand that he would be upset over this, but after the funeral, he stormed into his room and refused to come out. Our sister, 13 female, spent some time with me and so did our dad. But so some of the day was salvaged because they watched some movies with me and my dad baked a cake, but he spent half of the day with my brother comforting him. I am hurt by this because it was my day. I know that my brother was upset, but it was just a rat and he has 5 more of them. And he couldn't suck it up for just an hour, even though it was my birthday. And I'm mad at our dad too, because he spent way more time on my brother than he did than me. I ranted about this to our sister and she told me I was being completely selfish and that I need to get my head out my ass. Our dad told me that he would make it up to me and that he would set a day aside just for me. But it just wouldn't have the same magic because it wouldn't be my actual birthday anymore. Anyways, like I said, my sister is usually on my side, so I'm curious about other opinions and if I'm missing something or if I'm right for being annoyed. And it's one of those ones where if I was in front of OP now and I had the chance to have the conversation, I would say, look, you need to come from an empathy standpoint. Stand in your brother's shoes who just lost a rat who he considers a part of his family. You may just think it's a rat that he has several other rats, but this is a rat he absolutely loves that he's had for 4 years and he's attached to. Of course he's going to be hurt by this. Yes, you can feel hurt about your birthday not being as great as you expected it to be, but your dad gave you a compromise as well. He said he will set a day aside just for you because he can see how hurt he is. He put himself in your shoes and seen how you might be feeling, so he came up with a compromise. Why can't you put yourself in your brother's shoes and see how he might be feeling? But according Television 6 says you're the arsehole, you're absolutely being selfish about this. At no point during your post do you try to view things through other people's viewpoints. Your brother would of course be upset at the death of a pet he's had for years. You completely dismiss his feelings throughout your post. Of course your dad is going to go and comfort your brother who is upset. Your dad's even offered to make it up to you. You claim your brother shouldn't be upset because he has 5 more. Well, you probably have way more birthdays, so why are you upset? And Guilty Pick says, you're the arsehole, yes it's a huge milestone birthday, but you're really devaluing how much those rats mean to him. Any pet is almost like a family member. To him, it probably felt almost as bad as losing a human. How many rats he has is irrelevant. Just because you don't see that or aren't as attached doesn't mean it's not significant. You're within your rights to be upset that things didn't go to plan. P.S. You don't own that day. But your dad has promised to make it up to you. Be upset in your head, anything else makes you an arsehole. And Future Ambition says you're the arsehole and quotes, she told me I was being completely selfish and I need to get my head out my arse. And then says your sister is smart. And Scoobly says, oi, look, you're a kid, so I don't like saying this, but you're the arsehole. His pet died, he's a child, and your dad said you could get another birthday day if you feel like this one has been spoiled. Your birthday wasn't as special as you thought, so what? I once had a birthday where we learned my father-in-law was in prison and I got chronic gastritis. Sometimes shit happens and you have to deal with it. Suck it up, stop being so entitled, have your second day and give your poor little brother a hug. And that is the empathy we want. Go and hug your brother and show him some love. Now, what do you guys make of today's collection of stories? What are your verdicts on today's stories? As always, I love to see them. I love to hear your comments. It means the absolute world to me. And we haven't done this in a long time. What are you doing today whilst listening? What are you up to? It's one of my favourite things, and your location too. Obviously don't dox yourself, general area is good enough, right? Country is good enough. I love to hear the random places that's listening. Thank you so much for your love, your time and support to this channel. It means the absolute world to me. If you want to support the channel further, you absolutely can, but never any pressure to do so by clicking that join button down below for YouTube or clicking the link down in the description below for Patreon and joining up there. Thank you so much for your love, time and support, and I will see you in the next one. You awesome individuals. Much love, guys. I got food up in the fridge. Y'all keep looking for that new way. I think I like it how it is.